Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of MAK Chats. Today we've got Brandon, Phoenix, Sponty, and myself, along with a special guest, which will be kind of the star of today's episode. We have Oso from Grinding Coffee Company, our latest partner and sponsor. Oso, I'm going to say hello.
Hello.
And we're just going to kind of be talking about coffee, talking about the company, talking about
Oso.
talking about
God,
Oso.
that was such an impressive intro, but
Thank
I think
you.
I like mine better.
You know, Sponty, you keep thinking that.
I will.
Respect your opinion. Yeah. So, Oso, tell us about yourself.
So my name's Oso. About 2 weeks ago, me and my best friend created a coffee company from scratch, and we just all of a sudden blew up completely out of the blue. We've no idea what we're doing, so just don't ask us. But we're trying our best, and I feel like that's very important in this current climate.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you said best friend. How exactly did you meet Aaliyah?
We met because a mutual friend of ours hated us both. I guess we just had like a weird falling out. And they just stopped talking to the both of us. So I texted her and I was like, "Hey, bro, we cool?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're cool." So I was like, "All right, dope." And we've been friends ever since then. That was about 3 years ago.
Okay. So,
Incredible.
a question that I've had since we've met. Any particular reason why a coffee company? Like, are you just?
We previously owned a clothing store, but due to laws that were enacted by the Trump administration, it was no longer going to be feasible for us to have it. So we closed up that shop. But, we, due to coronavirus, just didn't have a job. So we were thinking about what kind of business should we start. I actually had a dream that we were selling coffee. I was like, oh, that's weird. I guess we could try. So we reached out to a couple of distributors and we finally got back and heard from someone that said, yeah, sure, you guys can use us to make your coffee. And they helped us, walked us through how we were going to do it. We struck a deal with them and then we began to sell coffee. And according to everybody who's tried it, it's pretty much some of the best coffee they've ever had. So we're just really lucky.
That that's really like an awesome story. More or less curious. What law in particular?
It's specifically pertaining to importing items from the EU and from China themselves. We imported all of our clothing from China because it was cheap to do. We had a friend who lived in China. His name was Murphy, so he would, go to this factory and whatnot and make sure everything was up to date, up to code. Make sure there's no children who are working there. But the cost to get it out of the Chinese post was cheap. However, when it became imported into the United States, Customs and Borders would actually hold that package for like 3 to 4 weeks. And then, people be like, hey, where's my package? And for us to sit there and tell them, I have no idea because Customs and Borders is holding it, that's really terrible for customer service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
So I was curious because I've always like when I was a kid I really wanted to start a clothing line. So I was curious like, do you have any old designs or anything from that company that you're willing to like share?
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah.
They were all terrible. They were all super
Oh.
terrible. But,
Oh.
it was we were trying to compete with Zoomies or Journeys, but make it more affordable and online only. So it was nothing but streetwear.
I really, I mean, you have me sold. I don't know. I'm the kind of guy that like I'll literally slap on a hoodie and I'm like, yes, I'm ready to go to a funeral today. Like I always have to have a hoodie on. Like
All right, fine. I'll be the fun one. I'll be the fun one. So all you hush up. So I have a question. So
Yep.
you said recently that you've been noticing that the business is booming, right? Like it's
Correct.
like you're amazed. So I'm just curious, how does it feel waking up and seeing that like not only have you not failed, you're excelling at what you're doing? Like how much joy does that actually bring you? Like walk me through like your brain.
I can't begin to explain. Okay, so first things first, the crazy part that everybody's going to hear is that I actually live with my parents. I live with my mom and my baby brother. I live downstairs in the basement like your average gamer does. And to be able to wake up and say, "Hey, mom, we've sold this much money." This was our third day. I said, "Hey, mom, we've sold this much amount of coffee. Can I go ahead and quit my full time job because they're not scheduling me? I only had one shift from my full time job for the entire month of June, right?
Mhm.
And she looked me dead in my eye and she goes, "No, you can't quit until you have something else to go on."
Uh,
So
What?
were
And
you
I said,
nervous?
"That's fair." The first day, that Wednesday when we actually started selling stuff, we sold over $800 worth of coffee, and I was literally at dinner with my classmates, and my phone is just off the hook, and they're just looking at me like, "Are you good?" And I look completely disheveled. I barely took a shower. I didn't even brush my teeth. I looked homeless going to this really nice sit down restaurant. They're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I can't begin to explain it, but like, I think I'm dreaming, so I didn't do anything today." You know, that day, that morning, I woke up at 7:30 and we had like, 50 something messages, 50 retweets, 100 likes, and I was like, "Oh, that's not impressive." I wake up again at 11 o'clock, and now it's got 400 of each, and I was like, "Okay, that's crazy. What's the one thing I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go back and take a nap because I'm tired." I wake up again at like 2 o'clock, and now it's got 1,000 each, and I'm like, "Oh boy," like it's just, it wasn't truly believable that we were able to garnish this amount of love and support, especially because the thing that's going to blow everybody's mind is that tweet that I sent out, the one that's pinned to our profile. I actually sent that tweet out maybe 4 or 5 times before that one, and it was just by luck that it took off the fifth time. Like,
So, so it's
we're
uh,
just
just
waiting for
being,
that to hit.
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. That
Uh,
that actually is an excellent segue for a question that we that I well uh, that Phoenix has written down.
Yeah, I
Uh,
wrote a lot of questions.
what was the highest number of notifications on your phone for like the Twitter DMs?
On Friday, our Twitter actually broke.
Oh,
Neither one of us could log in, and any message that was sent between Thursday and Friday, we just couldn't see. Anytime we would try to answer, I'm at work all day Friday for nearly 20 hours, so I'm trying to answer and respond to DMs on Twitter. And whenever I would go to search someone's name, whether I type in the first name, like, I had to talk to a partner about some merchandise. I typed in her first name, and the first letter would immediately freeze up the entire app and it'd crash. And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's nice." Um, so we actually turned off our notifications because we had way too many. Twitter themselves are like,
makes
"Hey,
sense.
you're getting a lot of notifications. Here's how you can turn them off." So we did. Um, and I want to say that we ended up max with 1,000 something responses, 4,000 likes, 24, 2,500 retweets. Message wise, we had 2,000 messages.
Incredible.
Can I just
Oh,
say that it warms my stupid little heart that like you said you have like over 1,000 messages of people being like, "Hey, I want to be coffee," and you came to us. Like we, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. When I was listening to the podcast by Andrew Alliance, and you were like, "Yeah, House Mac," I started geeking, and then I was like, "Wait, Osa doesn't even know who I am. Like, I'm literally the attic boy.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
I'm unknown to the world."
yeah.
Um,
So actually, that brings me into this. So what? Now that you, I'm not gonna say 100% that you made it per se, because like I don't want to
there's always
make
room
assumptions,
to
but
go up.
I would like to assume that it's only gonna go up from here. My question is do you see all of your partners as, say, like, friends, or more kind of like assets? And like, you can be honest
So
with me. Like, I'm not gonna be offended if you tell me I'm an asset. But like, where
We
where are you at business mind right now?
we see them as equals. I was part of like a couple of financial success groups, and we were all talking about, what would a winning product be, because these are also young college kids who are interested in having a business on the side, because that's pretty much what I consider this, just a side business, because this is not feasible for me to do day to day. Because, even though we may have a lot of sales or we may have a lot of orders, that's not always going to be promised for us. So we want to make sure that this is something that will be feasible. So we're building a groundbreaking pathwork for us to be able to move forward. When it comes to our partners, we literally see them as working with us, not working for us. We want you to work with us because you are helping us sell our products and you are being paid for doing so. I mean, big companies will see you as just an asset, which I'm not going to name for legal reasons, but we are a small, tiny business who is employed by two, as of today, three people maximum. There's no other person, there's nobody else that we have to answer to. It's just, it's weird for me to, offer. So in these financial success groups, I will offer my help for free because I studied how to market online in my bachelor's degree. And I want to make sure that not only the knowledge that I know can be useful, but if I could give it to somebody else for free without them having to pay me $500 for like two sentences, I want to be able to do that. And to be able to sit there and tell them honestly, yeah, so we've made 7 grand in 7 days with no money spent on ads. And they look at us like we're completely crazy. And I'm like, you just have to know how to network and you have to know how to let people know that they are worth it. We want to work with you because we believe in you as a person to perfect your craft, and we want to be there every single step of the way because everybody deserves a chance. What you do with that chance is up to you, but we're at least going to help you get to where you need to be.
I'm not even gonna lie. I have fucking chills right now.
I appreciate that.
That's,
So, like,
such incredible. That's incredible.
so that kind of segues into like another question. I'm sorry, I'm kind of hijacking this, but like
You're good.
I just want to go for it.
What?
I want this to be as like as professional as possible. Like Phoenix said, we're a little chaotic, but I wanna try and actually do this right because me and you haven't talked pretty much previous to this, but like I've heard lots of good things about you through the grapevine. I would like to think you've heard things about me, but I don't know. So I guess the next thing I was gonna ask is what is your next expansion plan? Because I'm sure, like, not obviously, just like us, you're probably riding by the seat of your pants, or maybe you aren't. I'm not sure, but I'm curious. Do you have a direction for your next expansion? Because, like you said, you just hired on your third today. Are you planning on adding more members to help ease it along, or are you more just trying to streamline, focusing, getting things out the door?
So, me and Leah had this discussion. It's going to seem completely cruel, but I think we only need 3 people max. It sounds completely crazy. People are going to look at me like I'm completely stupid, but I was able to automate most of what we do with an AI. I'm talking about a majority of what we do in the store where it comes to talking to the distributor, making sure that everybody gets their coffee on time, exchanging their coffee if they've got something wrong. I've literally gotten an AI or a robot to do it. I have to barely lift a finger. The only thing I have to do every single day is to one, capture payments because we don't automatically do it in the event that someone's committing some weird credit card fraud. Um, Two, we have to, as people, answer all of our Twitter messages, DMs, and emails, our Facebook messages, and so on and so forth. Three, we have a robot posting all of our Instagram and Facebook posts, so we got nothing to do with that. And four, the only reason why we hired Travis was because neither one of us two know how to write. That's it.
Honestly, I can't lie. Like that's incredibly impressive that you've
It
managed to not only get the business on its feet, get the orders to the people. Because like I've experimented with that here and there, and I know that one of the hardest things about running a business is, unironically, it's getting the product into your customers' hands. I know that that's one of the hardest parts of the actual business. Anyone can take a credit card and take some money, but it's getting the product to the person so that it's an actual finished transaction. So I hate to bring up the bad, but has there been any hiccups in the starting
We
process?
so in the 7 days or the 9 days, I guess, that we have been open, there have only been two hiccups. Actually, technically three. One was that somebody put in a high risk fraud detection card, so I returned that for 23 bucks. Two was that somebody accidentally ordered ground coffee instead of whole beans, so we got it taken care of. And three was that one of my friends sent it to the wrong address, so we just switched the address and she got her coffee. And those are the only three hiccups that we've had so far. It's completely crazy to say that,
that
but luckily enough, the way that we set up with our distributor is incredibly easy. Um, Pretty much, people pay for shipping and handling, people pay for the product, and we just tell our distributor this is where it needs to go, and then we send them the actual label from USPS, UPS, FedEx, whatever they choose, and they just slap it on the coffee and they just send it out. And what's even better is that if you order before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, what we do is we make sure that we get it roasted that day before it ships anywhere. And at 3 p.m., we send out, a massive amount of orders. We ship it, and then the next day you're supposed to get your coffee. That's just what we planned because we didn't want people to wait, 2 or 3 weeks to get coffee. It literally takes a maximum of maybe 4 to 5 days for you to get coffee.
I like the
That's-
sounds of that. It seems like a well-oiled machine that you
Yeah.
have kind of built for yourself. And I mean that in the most polite way possible. Of like you, no exaggeration. You built this. Like this isn't something that was handed to you. And like I'm just kind of saying this for the people that like are out there that are thinking about starting a business. How much about coffee did you actually know before you started this?
I had my first cup of coffee 3 weeks before the store launched.
And that's incredible. You managed to not only create a company, but that of a coffee company, which there are still people that want to do that can't do it. And I think that that's so admirable that you were able to get this off the ground and not only do it, but do it like you said. How long have you been doing this for? Like, how long has this actually been on its feet for? And only 3 hiccups?
Our first ever sale was actually purchased by House Mac on June 10th.
Hey.
And that's what? That is
I think that may have been me.
that's 15 days ago. That is 3 hiccups. And I don't mean to like just spurt it out there, but you said about $7,000 is how much you've grossed so
Yep.
far. $7,000 over 15 days, and you've only had 3 hiccups. That's astonishing. That again, you were able to create the machine that did that, and with those hiccups, I'm sure they're completely ironed out. And like you said, even one of them was just a simple went to the wrong address, and you were able
Yeah.
to just melt that away.
The hiccups themselves sound like, I mean, user error almost. Nothing like with you in particular, not with the company, like no company error, right?
Right.
So
oh.
that's absolutely incredible.
Real quick,
So-
because I'm curious about the company, obviously, but I'm also curious about Oso. You mentioned earlier your day-to-day job. You asked your mom if you could like quit or whatever.
Yep.
What do you do besides coffee?
So, fun fact, I'm currently in paramedic school. I'm about to finish my EMT basic, and then come the fall semester, I'll be in advanced. So that's something that I'm working on school-wise. Day to day, I am a medical scribe full time, but due to the way that the coronavirus is working, we've kind of gotten rid of our full time because there's not as many patients at the hospital. So now I'm
Mhm.
down to part time. A medical scribe just means I'm pretty much the typewriter of the doctor and under brain. So if they're saying something in the room and they walk away, there's no way for them to remember what they just said. So I pretty much just sit there and type everything that they say. It's fairly simple, and you learn a lot while you're on the job. And just because of the coronavirus, May and June, I didn't really have that much income. So I actually got hired to take temperatures at a Twinkie factory.
Is
Awesome.
EMT and like is the medical field something you've always been into, always something you've wanted to do?
Yeah. So my plan is to, once I get my paramedic license, I'm going to enter a post baccalaureate for medical school, and then I'm going to go to a DO program and practice, emergency medicine or radiology. Those are my 2 big choices. Maybe I'll like something else when I'm doing my rotations, but those are definitely something that I would like to do.
So where do your passions lie? That's I don't want to cut off Chance too much, but I'm just curious. Like, are your passions in the coffee, or are your passions in like the company? Is it just kind of everywhere, or do you like where is your passion lie?
I mean, it's just kind of everywhere. Like I'm just one of those people who are completely spontaneous. I get told I'm fun to be around, but then I'm like, yeah, okay, so I'm not gonna go to this bar. I'm gonna go home and play video games with the homies. I'll see y'all tomorrow or in 2 weeks when I leave my house. I'm just, I'm a homebody, And I don't really like to be around a lot of people, but if I have to, I want to be able to learn about something while I'm there. I'm just a bookworm who just likes to read. So, working with charities has always been something that I'm down to do because the radio station that I worked at was actually a 501c charity. It was completely donated to the college that I went to. So, learning how a charity works on the inside and out made me want to work with other charities. Um, One of the first ever charities that I worked with was actually something that I learned when I was in high school as a part of the Toastmasters Club was
Hey.
the Coffee Trust. And the Coffee Trust is literally a environmentally sustainable project, an economically sustainable project that is revolving around assisting the indigenous Guatemalan farmers who literally sell us our coffee. Like they are part of our fair trade partners, and that is who we purchase some of our coffee from. And to learn about how they in 2014 they got plagued with an invasive species that pretty much destroyed all of their coffee crops. We want to be able to help give them back. They're indigenous, meaning that they are some of the First Nations peoples of the Americas. So that's also important because as a society, our ancestors robbed them. Whether or not we want to face that fact or not, we did because whatever they were doing at that time, we just took that opportunity and said, "Hail Europe," and took it all over. So
Right, right.
it's
Yeah.
not necessarily fair for them. So we want to be able to give back to them. Um, One of the super cool things is that in the 15 days that we've been open, I specified that 50% of our merchandise proceeds will go towards that charity. And in the last 15 days, we have actually had, if I'm not mistaken, 30 plus merchandise orders, which are, t shirts, hats, coffee mugs, so on and so forth. And just yesterday, we actually donated on behalf of everybody within the first 14 days, and we raised $146. Now, that may not seem like a lot to, everybody who's listening right now, but $146 in American is not $146 in Guatemalan. That's just a simple fact. Our dollar is worth, 3, 4, 5 times more down there. So every single dollar will count. In Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken, it takes maybe $1.60 something in order to be able to sell or get a scholarship to go to college or be able to live your dream, get a car. That's just how much it takes. It's not that expensive. So to be able to provide $146, that is us essentially sending at least 50 children to college.
That and
Holy shit.
I had to Google it. 146 USD is 1,125 67 and 67. I don't know, whatever their not dollar is. The Guatemalan quetzal is what it is. I'm probably butchering the name. It's Guatemalan dollar. That's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
call it because I'm gonna butcher the name. Sorry. Someone please like fucking DM me and correct me in how to say this shit, please.
That's
But
it.
over 1,000 of their own money. That's incredible.
And I think like when you first approached us, and that was one of the points that you like were sure to reiterate is that a lot of the money went to sponsorships. I remember talking to, I think it was Nick or Dag, and I was like, I'm already sold just because of the charity stuff, you know.
That's important to us. We actually got an email, I believe Saturday, where they told us that due to how much money we donated, they were having a problem with water. There was like a water shortage
Yeah.
due to the coronavirus because everybody's just trying to use up all the water and get clean and sanitize everything. And they weren't able to provide water for a certain section of the village. And due to all the money that we donated, they were actually able to build a community well, like an in-ground well specifically for these people to get clean water so they can not only have the clean water to sanitize themselves, but they can use the clean water to grow additional crops and so on and so forth. So that was important to us to know that we put our money where our mouth is and we actually help do something and make a change in society. One thing I do want to mention is that in light of recent Twitch and Mixer and Twitter findings about what's going
Yeah.
on truthfully to those who are feminine presenting women, the LGBT, it's just unfair for us to stand by and not be able to do anything. So from yesterday at about 5 a.m. to 6:27 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, across the board, not just merchandise, all products will have 20% of the proceeds directly donated to RAIN, which is the largest anti sexual violence um, charity in the United States. And it is one of those charities where we did our research and made sure that the money is where the mouth is. And it is 100% something that we believe in because, just standing by on the sidelines, it's unfair for us to not do something. It's unfair for us to just sit by and make this crazy amount of money and not give it back. So we're trying to give back and let people understand that we hear you, we see you, and we believe you.
For sure. And especially people in like positions like you're in and that we're in, where we have like a platform, an audience. I think it's like more important than ever to like really represent those values, you know? And I think that's why like I personally have enjoyed working with you guys so much, because you're so like pushing those things that need to be pushed, like the problems with society, and you're really standing up for it, you know?
We
Yeah.
try our hardest.
It's cool.
Now,
Makes me
I
happy.
kind of on. Yeah, I'm gonna ask this question. Kind of on the note of the recent, um, the the recent findings of Twitch streamers with all the sexual harassment, um, every which way and every corner, all the disgusting things that other people are doing to each other. Do you how do you have any worry that one of your partners are going to fall victim to that? And by victim, I mean not that it's a
Being the aggressor.
yeah, like that the aggressor is going to be one of the partners that you've signed.
Do you worry
have
that
any
any of your
fear of that?
partners are going to be sexual predators?
Thank you
So-
for
Cancelled.
yeah. Thank you.
One of the things that we have just recently learned is that, there are people who are coming forward with allegations and proof of being sexually assaulted, but there are also some individuals in every society who are going to take advantage of this current movement and say, yes, this has happened to me before. But when it comes to fruition and people are asking for proof because it's just the number one thing that people want, when it came to this certain person and they're of course a partner of ours, when I was told about this allegation, I took it very seriously and I removed every mention of them whatsoever from any of our social medias and our website. After I carefully sat through and investigated, I was given information from both sides of the field, and it was disgustingly enough to say that the person who accused our partner um, actually they just accused just because they felt as if they wanted to, and they were putting false statements around others. But our partner had others speak up on their behalf, and they provided insightful screenshots, they provided videos, they provided different messages of conversation that weren't altered. And we asked the other party, hey, would you be willing to provide us with this? And they did. And the one who accused did mention and said, hey, I kind of want to take it back because while I said it happened, it didn't actually happen. I just misconstrued it this way. And I'm just like, why would you do that? Why would you go through and do that to someone who didn't actually do that to you? You're just
Yeah.
making this accusation because you either want attention or you feel as if this person needs to go down for something. But if you're going to do that, have proof, say it is what it is, and don't renege on what you say. And if the other person also has proof, we want to hear both sides of the story before we just immediately jump. If
Right.
enough people were to come forward and say, yeah, this happened with your partner, no questions asked, we drop that partner. Pretty much everybody who's been mentioned on Twitter, for doing this, we've actually blocked them because we want to give them no ammunition. We don't want to work with them. We don't want to see them. We don't want to partner with them. We want nothing to do with them. Now, if they order as a customer, I can't stop that, but I want nothing.
Okay.
Good,
Okay.
good on you
So-
for
Yeah, I
the
think
way
that's
you
like
handled
super
that.
amazing.
On a lighter note, but kind of along the same
Yeah.
vein, what do you look for in partners?
So, fun fact, we previously had requirements set up for what we were looking for with, you know, partners. We wanted people who were a minimum of 300 followers and a minimum of 5 concurrent viewers and to be affiliated on Twitch. But when we were sitting there looking at all these messages, there were a lot of newer streamers who just didn't have the same aspirations or they didn't have the same resources that were available to them. So we just waived all of our requirements. You know, if you want to work with us, you can work with us. I don't want to shortchange anybody and say no, you can't work with us because you only have 25 followers. Well, that's not fair. What if all 25 people show up every single time they go live? There's no way for me to be able to gauge that. So we just waived all of our requirements for now.
Now, with that, I hate to be the guy that asked the question, but I'm gonna be that guy. Do you plan on, after, say, like, you've obviously, you said what, like, you have 200 plus partnerships
Yep.
currently active at the moment, correct?
Yep.
Do you have any plans of reinstating that, or are you fine with having like thousands upon thousands of people preaching about the Coffee Co? Or
We will be reinstating that, but for right now, we are not going to.
okay,
We
So-
don't have a set time frame as to when we are going to reinstate it. But again, like I said, you know, to be able to tell people we make this amount of money and we've never purchased a single ad, it's due to having this amount of people who are willing to support us. And there's no way that we want to stop them from supporting us. We're not going to tell you no. But the bigger we grow, because right now we're still only 15 days old, the bigger we grow, then we will have to. But you know, right now we're not looking for that.
For sure.
well, I'll say for certain right now, this is take it as you will. If it's me just trying to butter ye up, get on your good side, I really don't mind. But it's just I want to commend you on the fact of just how not only hands on, but how appropriately you handle your partnerships. Like I'll say, for example, like I've dealt with plenty of partnerships. One of my first ones was a very negative one. It was basically a scam artist trying to get me to sponsor him, and I thankfully dodged that bullet. But I've worked with at least, I want to say, 5 to 10 sponsorships at this point in time, and you are not only the most hands-on, you're the most forthcoming, and I'm just gonna say it, you're the one with the most actual results on paper and proof of these results. Like, I've seen what you've shown me, like, I can believe it. It's not just, oh, hey, we have thousands upon millions of people around the world loving us. You're not gloating about what you don't have. You're expressing what you do have, and you're taking pride in it. And as, like I said, someone who's maybe not been around the entire block, but I've seen my fair share of sponsorships that just are complete trash. You are not only my favorite, you're not only my favorite, you're the one that's basically, if I can say it in the nicest way possible, you're the one that has actually meant the most to me, and you're the first one I've actually been a part of where I don't want to let my partner down. All the other ones, it was, we didn't have any coordination together, so I didn't have to care if they did something dumb, and they didn't have to care if I did something dumb. Whereas this one, it's almost kind of like we're both each other's parents, and that's a weird relationship to have. We're both each other's parents. We don't want to let the other one down or be disappointed in the other one. And I love this relationship that we've created together with just not only me, but all of House Mac, all of your partners. And I can't imagine that you wouldn't do this same podcast with someone, like you said, with like 25 followers. I would just honestly like to say, on behalf of all of us, like, I very much appreciate all of the work you genuinely put in. And that's not just trying to butter you up. Like, it's meaned in a very nice place. I appreciate everything you've done, and I'm assuming you're continuing to do.
Do you want to hear a joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All my mom tells me is I just nap all day,
Damn.
which is pretty much the truth. I mean, I do. Like, I'll answer like 20 messages, and I'm like, hey, look, it's nap o'clock, and I'll just go lay down for like an hour.
God, I feel that.
Because the amount of messages and stuff is literally, I can't begin to explain it. I don't want to take away and shine a light on people who have mental health. I'm not saying I have anxiety, but it literally makes me just, feel like my chest is bursting every time I have to open up our Twitter. And there's like 6 million messages for me to respond to. I'm like, hey, this is incredibly overwhelming. I'm definitely not going to answer all of these. It seems like it's a good time to take a nap because it's the truth. If you woke up and all of a sudden you just achieved stardom, what are you going to do? What's the
Yeah,
first thing that you do?
Honestly,
Go back to bed.
we like some of the people in my my IRL friend group, some of my best friends. He was the best man at my wedding. He's like, dude, what if you got rated by like this was when Ninja was still on the platform of Twitch, and we'll see. This is when Ninja was on Twitch, not Mixer. He goes, what would you do if you actually just got rated by Ninja for like 50,000 viewers? I just straight up, I was like, turn off stream.
I mean, it's the truth.
I was just like, I wouldn't know how to react to literally my stream breaking because chat's moving too fast. I would maybe turn off the camera because I would cry. And I don't like when people watch me cry. So, yeah, it would, I feel you on like seeing that.
Yeah.
Because I imagine it and I'd be like, nah, that's okay. Like, I'll pass on that for now. Like, when it happens, we'll address it then.
I've noticed something about this professional side of Sponty we're seeing that entertains me. Sponty will go, I mean this in the nicest way possible, framing it like he's gonna say something mean, and then says something like, you're doing fantastic.
Yeah, last time he said that sentence to me, he told me he really wants me to fuck off and die. That's because we played Overcooked for 3 hours.
Well, just now, Sponty at least 3 times was like, I mean this in the nicest way possible, but you're doing amazing. And I'm like, that what?
I'm thinking the same thing.
Right?
I'm sure I'm not trying to make this all about me, although I don't mind it.
Watch me cut this out of the podcast.
I'm like an onion. I have many layers, and
Oh my God.
I call upon them as needed. I call upon them as needed if I need to be professional. Which right now, like for one, I have my hypothetical boss. Well, I'm their boss kind of thing, because like I'm not exactly a partnership's a weird thing. We're both the boss of the other person, but we're also both not the boss of the other person. It's very strange coordinated deal. Either or, you want to show the utmost respect to your partner, whether that be them just shooting the shit with you or them genuinely asking you questions. And like I'll be real, like I always want to try and put my best foot forward, and right now, like I already fucked up the intro, so like I definitely got some catching up to do. But I would like. It sounds weird, but I would definitely like to make friends with Oso, because I feel like that's a better partnership than just, oh hey, you give me this code and I will tell people to buy your shit. Like I feel like if you actually have a proper partnership, because I'm not sure if you think this way, but I want to grow you as much as I'm sure I would like you think to grow me. Like I want us both to succeed together, because it's a symbiotic relationship of the better one does, hypothetically, the better the other one should start to do as well. It's a cohesive dance of chaos.
I think there was definitely a lot of points towards like, this is much more than just the average affiliate relationship, when like Oso comes in here and we're chaos shitlording on each other.
Yeah.
Like we're being us, and Oso's like, yeah, okay, we'll work with these guys.
I still remember the day Oso came in and was like, can I talk to the owner of this Discord? And I was like, which one?
Yeah. But
and I was just like, I don't know who that is. And then when like Chance was like, yeah, they just wanted to come in and talk about coffee, and I was like, what?
yeah.
But like, I don't know, it is crazy to think like, like 2 weeks ago, you just kind of joined our Discord and were like, yeah, I want you guys to still coffee with me. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's wild. And like, I don't know, I like being able to go to my parents and be like, yeah, well, I'm on a cool team and we know we got a cool coffee sponsorship, and they're
Yeah.
like, yes, thank you, very cool, go back to your room now.
Yeah. And you know, when I went to my parents, obviously I filmed the little review of the Valley Blue coffee. It was crazy because my mom, shortly after she watched it, and my mom doesn't know a lot about like what I do. I mean, she barely knows how to use her iPhone, and that's great. Like, no big deal. But it was funny. She goes, wow. She goes, I really like. She could not speak like any more highly than she could about everything about the coffee company that I was telling her and everything. And I guess realistically, this has become not only a learn about Oso and the coffee company, but this has been about how fucking magnificent you guys have been across
Yeah.
the board. Like, this is literally a praise Oso, praise grinding coffee company type of podcast at this point, because y'all are fantastic. Y'all are doing great, and we love you.
Actually, you give me
End of
you give me an
podcast.
idea.
There we go.
No, fuck that. Fuck that. You give me an idea. All right. Also,
Yep.
I want, if you don't mind, I just kind of want to flip this on its head to see how this plays out, because like Brandon said, this is
No.
basically turned into a we're praising you and you deserve every bit of it, of course. But I'm curious, do you have a question for any of us or each one of us, or I don't care. I'm just kind of curious to flip it on its head and see what you think of us rather than us just constantly berating you with what we think of you.
Why did you accept my proposition even when it was like buck naked? I'm talking about the dumbest of stripped down. It had no real potential whatsoever when we first started. Um, what made you stay on? What
We're
made
desperate.
you want to?
Spawny.
No, stop, cut that. I'm putting a marker in to cut that.
Shit.
No, honestly, we had a meeting about it. Like,
Yeah.
we had a straight up meeting, and when we talked about it, like, I put my faith in Chance because I wasn't there for that first meeting. Like,
Mhm.
I was literally just the editor at that time, and I was not even a face of House Mac. I was just literally the guy that hid in a corner and just like put videos together. And so when they were talking about this, and I was like, this sounds really good to be true. And then I like looked at the website and I was like, okay, it's kind of sketchy. And then I came back a day later and you updated the website. And I remember listening to the podcast again with Andrew, and you were like, yeah, I had to learn how to update the website because everyone thought it was a scam. And I was like, yeah, we absolutely thought it was a scam, but we were always willing to take the chance. Like,
and absolutely, and I think that second meeting, I think the one where it was just me, Nick, Oso, and Aaliyah, like, I think that was right after they had updated the website, and I was like, holy shit, this thing looks incredible. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
And we're like, it's not Squarespace. Like, this is how we know it's legit. Like,
yeah.
So for me, I literally don't know what it was. You sent that message, like you DM'd me after asking for like the owner of the server. Just something about that first message, I was like, this probably isn't a scam. This does not feel like a scam.
What was my first message? I don't even remember.
It was very well written. Like it was like, hello, I would like to.
It was proper.
Yeah, it was
Release
very
it.
proper. But like, I don't know. Something it sounds ridiculous, but there's just something in the back of my head that was like, this is legit. And and then we started like talking back and forth, and that's when I was like, hey guys, we need to have a meeting. I just cut out. I knew it.
yes.
Yes.
I was like, hey guys, we need to have a meeting because I really think that this coffee company is like worth something. And
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all sat down and talked about it, and I wasn't sold at all. Like, I was fully sketched out. I was like, this is
Yeah.
gonna be someone coming in to troll and like make fun of me. And no, it was literally just like once we talked about it and like I heard your message, and I was so sketched out. I was looking into like the coffee trust and everything, and when I saw that you were working with the coffee trust, I was like, no way, this is a scam. Like, zero way this is a scam.
I'll be honest. Go on, sir.
I was gonna say, like, okay, Brandon, you go first.
No, I thought you were done because you stopped.
No, I say because I can really collect my thoughts, man. English is a
Go
hard
on,
language for me. It's not even my
continue.
first one.
Please continue.
I'm gonna, like, I thought it was amazing, the fact that you were willing to support, the Guatemalan native people and everything, and like the fact you were going as far as to work with us and see what we needed or what you needed from us. And at that point after that meeting, I was sold. And so I think I'm actually the first House Mac order. You might be able to check that. But like the moment I got out of that meeting, I was like, I'm buying coffee. So like I took money out of my savings because I had
Oh my
$10
God.
in my savings at that time. So I took like $50 out, bought a sampler pack, took one for myself, tried it because I was like, if there's chemicals in this, I have consumed enough G Fuel that the lead in the G Fuel will cancel out anything bad in this. And so I drank that and I was like, okay, there's not rat poison in it, so I guess I'm cool. Took that to work. Everyone loved it. It was like super cool. People be like, "You can sponsor by this?" Like, amazing. Go to my girlfriend's house. Go talk to their family. They're like, "Do you have business cards?" Like, everyone's asking me for business cards and like where to get it. Like, I'm having to send links out left and right. And so I don't know. It was just like one of those things that I was like, that moment I was like, this is what it feels like to kind of start making it as like a
Yeah.
content creator. Is that people start asking you about like people you work with, and it's I don't know, it's a sensation and feeling that is like surreal.
And-
Like
Yeah.
considering like 3 weeks ago I was working at a college, sitting in a closet, repairing a violin, hating every single day of my life.
And like for me, when it comes to like working with businesses as a content creator, I was talking with Dag about this about another company that I've been looking into for my stuff personally. If the business does end up being kind of scammy, all I'm out is maybe like $20 for buying the product. But if it does work out for the best, like it has with the grinding coffee company, then like we really can make something here, you know? So it was kind of one of those, I had a good feeling about you, and I was also like, fuck it. Why not?
Yeah.
And then I brought it up to the boys, you
Uh,
know?
I guess if it's my turn, and I'll be entirely honest with you because I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. I had no fucking idea what was going on. I was very new. I was very new
Yeah.
to House Mac at the time, and like I'd been out of the loop for a while, and I just joined one of our meetings because Chance was like, "Hey, meeting now," and I'm like, "Okay, cool, be there." And I show up, and like I was like 2 hours late to the meeting because I'm an ass, and and they were like, "Yeah, so we talked about all this. We also talked about the coffee company." I'm like, "Wait, what the fuck about a coffee company?" And they're like, "Yeah, we're sponsored now," and I'm like, "Oh shit, okay."
Wait, is this the meeting where you took your shirt off and started being
Started
weird?
rubbing my
That was
nipples,
definitely
yeah.
that meeting.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
I sure
Okay,
have
just
to rub
making
my
sure that was
nipples.
that meeting.
Yes,
my
I am.
God.
The part that you haven't seen also is, as much as I can be professional, I am I'm the epitome of filth.
Sponty's where we keep
like
all
it.
of our chaos when we're not using it.
Yes, I'm Chaos Bank.
I don't know. That was a very
Interesting.
weird meeting to like leave to go get some water, and I came back, and all of a sudden Sponty's there, and he has his camera on, and he has no shirt on, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Don't act like you wasn't enjoying it.
I wasn't.
Redirected.
I was
Alright.
not enjoying
we're
it.
gonna we're gonna redirect ourselves on this, but I think, and I guess I'm the last to answer. I think for me it was actually just talking to you. As soon as I heard everything you had to say, and we had that conversation and that meeting with me, you and Nick, and was Leah there for that meeting, that first one?
Yep.
Yeah. So I don't first or second meeting. They kind of get confuzzled
They'll
in my
blur in
head,
one.
but either way, like talking to you two about exactly what the business was all about and what you guys were about as people, I was all in. That's literally all it took, because like it's one thing to have a legitimate business, but I don't want to support shitty people, and that's most certainly what you guys are not. So that's what sold me, is I realized that you guys weren't trash people.
All right. So,
So
do you got another one?
What?
What?
We gotta keep the fucking train going, Chance.
No, hold on.
Professional Spotty just walked out for a second. We gotta keep this shit running.
Here he goes again. We've been back in the attic, Spawny. We've been going for about an hour. Unless anybody has any real big questions, I think we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Actually, I did have a few more
Okay,
that we
go
didn't
ahead.
even cover. Again, I had a lot written down. So I remember hearing you talk about like how you went through radio and everything. And you mentioned that at one point you wanted to be a DJ, and I was curious, was that like a passing dream, or do you still have like some interest like in there for that?
I want to say I still have interest. I'm one of those people where I like pretty much anything with a good beat. I'm not gonna hate anything. I will say that I don't listen to country, but what's crazily hilarious is that one of my favorite songs is actually called Southern Nights by Glenn Campbell, which is which is just the epitome of classic country. Um, so I wouldn't say that I don't have the interest in it, but working at the radio station for 6 years, I kind of got really burnt out. I'm one of those people where if someone were to ask me for my resume, it literally looks completely unbelievable because, again, I'm one of those people where if somebody were to give me an opportunity, I never know if I'm going to have that opportunity again. So I just say yes. I never said no to anything, which is how I worked at a radio station for 6 years. I was a delivery truck driver for UPS. Um, I worked on one movie and four television shows. I went to flight school to learn how to fly an airplane. It's just one of those really dumb things where if I am given the opportunity, I'm not going to say no because it may be a once in a lifetime opportunity and I never know if I'm going to get it again.
So from what I'm hearing is you are definitely
So
a yes man.
yeah, I was gonna say, is it cool
I'm
if we like I
100%.
buy the rights to make the movie Yes Man, but starring like your life story instead of
I want you to know one of my favorite movies is Yes Man. But
Hell
yes,
yeah.
I'm a yes.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
But going back to the radio, I actually had another question about this. So you worked super long in radio. You did it through college. You did it with your senior year in high school. Was there a song that you had to frequently play on your station that you hated?
So the way that radio works is depending on what type of station you work at will let you know. So when I first started out in radio, I worked for what's called an adult contemporary station, which is pretty much just easy listening, which is just a fancy way of saying this is what white women in their 40s like to listen to. And it's a
Yeah.
lot of 80s music, it's a lot of 90s, it's got a lot of pop and a little bit of quote unquote light country, not the hip hop weird country that people are doing. That's pretty much just what it is. So we learned a lot about music together. When I got to switch and learn about how top the top 40 station works, what no one is ever going to tell you, but if you sit there and listen to it long enough, whatever song is the number one for the week, you're going to hear it at least once every 3 hours. That's the truth
I hate that.
because at a top 40 station, it's important for them to only play the top 40s because you want to generate sales for whoever it is that's listening or whoever it is that's the top one right now. Right now it could be Justin Bieber, so they're going to play a Justin Bieber song at least once every 2 to 3 hours so people can say, wow, this Justin Bieber song is really catchy. In the same time that they're doing that, what they're doing is they're making enough people hate it to where they just want to get it over with. So they go ahead and listen to it, they go ahead and buy it so they can just go ahead and stop promoting it, and then wham, it moves forward just like that.
You
Huh.
know, it feels weird, like because I did not want to I did not want to come to this unprepared, so I did like a bunch of research on you. I was trying to do like a whole Hot Ones take where I was like, I cannot come unprepared. I literally know the exact radio station it was on. It feels really weird just to be like 103.7 Light FM.
Yep.
Like, I swear I'm not a murderer. I just like really did not want to come unprepared, so
That's
I was
something a
like writing
murderer
down
says.
like everything I found.
Yeah, that was the first ever station that I worked with. Then I got to learn underneath this guy named Dave at Q1073, which is one of the largest top 40 stations in the Southeast. It's only considered the largest purely based on its size. It doesn't really mean anything for listeners because there's no true way for radio stations to garnish how many listeners they have unless they purchase a contract using Nielsen or Arbitron, which is specifically a company that goes out and asks people, "Hey, what do you listen to?" And those are the people who send you that cute little dollar in the mail and be like, "Fill this out," and then you get a dollar every time you do it, and you can earn like $15. It's just market research. So if you use that, then you're going to understand what it is that people like and don't like. And if you don't use it, you'll never know. So for us to be able to use it and for me to understand what it is that people like and don't like, when I started working at the college radio station, I applied what I learned and we used it there because the college radio station's a 501c. We didn't have the money to pay, like $2,000 a week to use the service. So all I could do was just do market research.
Honestly, like I said earlier, like, because I ever had the chance to butter you up. This is my turn now. So when I was like, like reading all this stuff about you and like listening to the podcast like over and over, like on repeat, just writing down what I thought was important tidbits, you were like a huge inspiration to me. And I say that because like a lot of like the interests we had similarly. I'm going into physical therapy, stuff like that. I always wanted to have like my own clothing line. To when I was working, or when I was working at the college before Corona happened, I was actually like using all of the things we had in the building to make my clothing line. And it was like, it was gonna be called like Rip You. It was like I had everything ready, and then Corona hit, and I couldn't do any of the thing I wanted to do for my clothing line, so I completely gave up on that. And so like hearing you go through a bunch of similar situations and then like come out on top gives me a lot of hope for where I'm going in life. Because like, once like March ended, I was like, this is going to be the worst like coming year. And I thought 2019 was rough because I was taking a bunch of med classes and also like physics and chemistry. And I was like, no, 2020 is going to be the worst just because I'm so isolated and like I can't do anything. But listening to like you talk and everything, it's really given me a bunch of hope for like where I'm going next in life. And so I really mean like thank you for like speaking your mind and like giving us your life story, because like it really inspires me to keep going where I'm going in life.
That's fucking
Thank
wholesome.
you, man. That's like so nice. That's like one of the nicest things someone has ever told me in my life. I'm gonna tell my mom exactly what you said and then try to convince her to let me quit my job.
No, when I was like writing all these questions down and everything, I was like messaging Brandon and I was like, bro, Oso is so fucking cool. Like, do you think we could do an interview podcast for me and like that he will listen to it and think I'm fucking cool? Cause like
I can confirm that happened.
yeah, I don't know what happened, dude. But it was just
So-
like hearing all of it was like, oh my god, like you actually have a chance in life.
I think
Hell yeah.
that's absolutely wholesome. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that, Phoenix. I like actually thank you for sharing that. Almost released your name there, but we're not gonna do that.
Oh no, you can release my name. Like I'll fucking do it right now.
Fuck you!
Learned my name before all of House Mac. So like,
Demetrius.
Fuck you.
yeah. See, sorry, go Sponty. He just did it.
So I think we've really learned about you, about the company, and I think at this point we're gonna end on one final question. What's next?
Oh boy.
That's
Number one, we are going to work on rebranding our website. I broke a lot. I'm just gonna say that I had to actually sit down and type in very specific questions on YouTube, like how to put a header on a website or how to add different panels to a website, so on and so forth, because I am dumb and I don't know what I'm doing. But on June 9th, I stayed up for a full 28 hours just sitting there Googling how to do this, how to do that. But because of all of my how to's, I actually broke something that was very important, which was our subscription coffee service. So the subscription service that we use, they're actually working on trying to get it fixed. So we found a workaround, but I don't quite know if I trust the workaround. I was actually looking for a friend of ours to be a guinea pig for it. But that friend kind of like dropped off the face of the earth. So if any one of you guys want to be our
I'll do
guinea
it.
pig,
I was just like I was gonna offer, and then like I stopped, and I'm like, Phoenix is gonna do this, like.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. I just got a lot of.
I'm gonna go on the website right now. Fucking do it,
Time
bro.
out. Time out. Phoenix. If I know you're probably not gonna add a whole much to this podcast, but I want you to add one thing, and right there, I want you to do the fucking Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends? Because that's 100% what just fucking happened.
Yeah, well, also thank you for taking the time to come to our small podcast and share
Yeah.
your story, the company story, and just honestly how great you guys are. We cannot thank you enough here at HouseMac for the opportunity to sponsor with you guys, and let alone be part of that. You like one of your first partners. I can't express enough the gratitude that we have for that, and sincerely thank you.
Do you want to be part of Attic Boys?
So,
You want to join the Attic
I
Boys?
think we have to explain Attic Boys a little bit.
No, fuck that. Just yes or no. Wait, no. He said he's a yes man. Do you want to join Attic Boys?
Sure.
Fucking, we got a third boy. Actually, fourth because Troy's still in the
so
corner.
don't forget about
Fucking let
Troy.
go.
Oh my god.
You can't have him. You can't have him, Brandon. He's fucking ours now.
Okay.
You can run from the truth, but it's never gonna change, bitch.
Okay.
All right, guys, thank you for showing up on this episode of MAK Chats. My name is Brandon. We have Chance,
Hello.
Phoenix, Sponty, and our special guest, Oso, owner, CEO, owner, creator, however you want to call it, the Grinding Coffee Company. Go buy their product immediately. It is fantastic. And
Yeah.
don't forget to use code HouseMac at checkout.
Catch us next week or the week after or maybe the month after, who knows, for another episode of MAK Chats. Thank you guys so much for listening. All of the links are down in the description, and have a good day.
Obey me.